Good evening, everyone. Today, October 24, 2023, at 6 p.m.
Bang it some more. Bang it some more. Bang it some more. They're all back there chatting.
Good evening, everyone. Today, October 24, 2023, at 6 p.m. I call for order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here?
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
And Trustee Stoyan and Trustee Nalamothu are absent this evening. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda, but we're gonna move a couple
Yeah.
items. One
I'd
item.
like to make a motion to amend the agenda by moving item number 4 under consent agenda to regular business after number 4.
Okay, motion has made. Any
Support.
second?
I'll
All-
support.
Thank you. Support by Trustee Ritchie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Now we need to approve the agenda, right? So
We just did that.
we just
Okay.
did that. Okay. Okay, board and public announcement. Board members and individuals in the audience that make a statement containing information about a recent or coming event. Anyone from the public? No? Everyone online that would like to? All right.
You do, sir?
Okay. Clark Newbeck?
The Rotary Club of Clarkson will be soliciting at the intersections of Sashbawn Mabee Road and Sashbawn Clarkson Road on Friday, November 3rd and 4th from 8 to 5. This will be their fundraising efforts for the annual Shoes for Kids service project. Over the past 24 years, the Shoes for Kids has provided over 10,500 Clarkson children, and the community has generously donated over $300,000. The Rotary Club of Clarkson greatly appreciates the support shown by the volunteers, and both in commitment and in donations. And the last thing I wanted to mention is to remind everyone of the trick-or-treat hours for Independence Township are from 6 to 7 on October 31st, and we wish our residents a safe and happy Halloween. And that's all I have.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, going to public comments. Individuals in the audience may address to the Township Board, all right? Anyone that would like to make any public comments for 5 minutes, no opinion agenda. All right. No? All right, moving along. Okay, we have a public hearing from Public Hearing PY 2024 Community Development Block Grant CDBG application from Jennifer Agos. Jennifer?
So tonight, I'm here to present the 2024 Community Development Block Grant application. The purpose of the agenda item is to hear public comment and have the Board of Trustees determine allocation of the Independence Township Program Year 2024 Community Development Block Grant funding. The notice of the public hearing was posted on October 11th. Oakland County is projecting that the township CDBG funding for 2024 allocation will be $50,186. The township is allowed up to 4 CDBG projects per program year with a maximum of 15% annual allocation that can be used for public service projects. So below is a recommended distribution of 2024 CDBG funds. $42,658 would be for the minor home repair program. The minor home repair program benefits homeowners who need repairs in addition to meeting specific income qualifications. Eligible projects are furnaces, hot water heaters, roofs, assistance with wells and other needed repairs. And a maximum grant available is $55,000 per applicant per year. For 2024, Oakland County is now requesting communities limit public services to a maximum of 2 project areas. And to accommodate the county's request, the recommendation is the remaining 15% of our allocation, or $7,528, be allocated to public service projects for senior services and youth services. So you can see the breakdown and below that. That would, once again, the minor home repair, $42,658. Youth services for the senior center would be $4,028, leaving the minimum that we can put for a project area for $3,500 for youth assistance. So if anyone has any questions or comments, I could take those.
Any question from board members?
I have a question.
Sure.
I think in prior years, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we also have a 4th allocation?
We did. In prior years, we've had transportation as an allocation. This year, and I should qualify, because for program year 2024, which we will not see funding until the beginning of 2025. Right now, we haven't even seen 2023 funds released, and we probably will not see those until early 2024. So the recommendation is to follow the county's, request and limit down. And so dropping off transportation, because of the transportation millage that was passed for 2023, and we don't know the status currently of how the millage is going to affect us, that those funds be kept in our community for a different project.
I think that's great that we're able to reallocate that money, and you have said that our minor home repair tends to grow every year, and it seems that we don't have adequate funds for that year after year, correct?
That is correct. We've experienced a more application requests for minor home repair in the last several years. Part of that is expenses are going up as well, so we try to help folks out as much as we can, but the volume of requests still come in, and so we would be able to reallocate those funds to meet those needs. We do some community partnering with other community partners to try to help offset some smaller expenses for repairs that people are looking for, but right now we're concerned because we're going into the winter months, and we try to save some monies for heaters and furnace replacements, things, hot water heaters that might come up, and we're experiencing a deficit with that right now.
I think it's great that we're able to reallocate it, and we can put it where it sounds like it might have been needed more greatly, so.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you for your answers, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? No? Anyone from the public? Any questions about CDBG? Anyone online? Okay, I will close the public hearing at 6:11.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Okay, we don't have presentations or report.
You want to make a motion now?
Oh,
Conclusion?
that we're gonna,
That'll be under
Yeah.
regular.
Yeah, we're going to wait and do it, okay.
yeah. All right, we are okay, right?
Okay.
Okay, no presentations and report. We already have the carry over, postpone, no consent agenda. Hold on. Okay. Okay, we have in consent agenda, request to approve the Board of Trustees regular minutes of October 10, 2023. 2, request to approve the October 17, 2023 check round, including the ACH $657,815.47, and ratify the September 29, 2023 payroll $311,541.06. 3, request to approve the directive to have Oakland County Transit draft. Oh, this one is the one that moved, right? We moved this one?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is already moved. Sorry for that. Now, request to approve the agreement 2324 Clarkston Area Youth Assistant, CAJA, sponsorship funding. And that's all I have for consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay.
Presented.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to regular business. Okay, we're going to start with actually the request for approve the PY 2024 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG application. We just, Jennifer already spoke about it. Do you have any other questions about that? I think Jennifer already explained, so.
I make a motion to approve program year 2024 Community Development Block Grant application certification between the County of Oakland and the Township of Independence for the total amount of $50,186, and direct the supervisor to electronically sign program year 2024 Community Development Block Grant application and conflict of interest certification as the authorized representative of the township, and direct the senior division supervisor to process the application.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a second motion there.
Move on to, move to approve the allocation of the 2024 Community Development Block Grant funding for housing minor home repair program. Account numbers 172170-31227 in the amount of $42,658.
Okay,
Support.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carry. Motion C,
Motion C, I'll move to approve the allocation of the 2024 Community Development Block Grant funding for public services, senior services program, account number 12, excuse me, I don't know why I keep doing it. Excuse me, 172160-731712 in the amount of $4,028.
Support.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carry. The last one.
Last
Ron?
motion is move to approve the allocation of the 2024 Community Development Block Grant funding for public services, youth services, Clarkson Area Youth Assistance Program, account number 172160-732185 in the amount of $3,500.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carry. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Good job. Right. Going for, now we're gonna be with for Brian Ockman, our Director of Zoning and Planning.
Good evening, board members. This is a request to approve the first reading and introduction of an amendment to Chapter 50, which is our zoning ordinance, amendment to Section 5.11 related to keeping of farm animals, and it's also a new Article 4 of Chapter 8 of the General Code. Back earlier this year at the March 9th Planning Commission meeting, we received a petition from a local resident who is in the audience tonight. And based on Section 15.01 of the zoning ordinance, if you receive a petition, the Planning Commission has the ability to actually consider an amendment to the ordinance. And so this is an ordinance amendment that really has to do with farm animals, specifically the keeping of chickens. Right now, under our current ordinance, chickens are considered a Class 3 farm animal, so you have to have at least 3 acres of land to have chickens. However, since the early 2000s, big and small communities have modified regulations for chickens to be allowed on smaller lots, and with permits being required. So the planning consultant, Mr. Carlisle, And his office provided a white paper, which I've included in the packet to give some more background on what other communities have done. And at that point in time, the commission decided to pursue an amendment to allow chickens on properties of 1 acre or more with a residential land use permit being required. And residential land use permit is used for sheds and small things like that. So we felt like this would kind of fall in line with something we already have. The ordinance provides for performance standards that are placed in the general code. It's a regulatory ordinance, so there's no grandfathering clause on these specific standards. So keep that in mind. This allows for up to 4 chickens or hens to be kept unless it's a farm operation, which they are exempt. The parcel is has to be no less than 1 acre in area. Can be allowed in any of the residential zoning districts that we have in the township. Hens are kept on a single-family dwelling unit. Chickens are to be family pets and to lay eggs for personal consumption only. They're not to be sold. Roosters or male chickens or any type of guinea hen, those are not permitted. The ones that make a lot of noise, they're not permitted. And then, where applicable, annual approval from the homeowners association, condo board, or similar HOA is submitted as part of the approval. If no such organization is present, which we have a lot of community, subdivisions around that don't have active HOAs, then that's not required. And then the important part is this is an annual permit, so basically it's going to reset every calendar year. They'll have to come in and reapply. If there's been any complaints on that particular permit, we can revoke it right there. It can be revoked, and they'll have to start the enforcement process, which is a municipal civil infraction. I think that's about it for the introduction. For the audience's sake and your sake, I'm going to, if Mr. Carlisle's here to answer any very specific questions about the ordinance. And any other questions for now?
Sure. Treasurer Brown.
First of all, I know this is a long process for the bills, and I didn't necessarily think this was a good idea when it first came forward, but when people go through the process and you look at the process as I did and ask and talk to people, my feelings about it certainly changed. So there are a couple things I wanted. Number one, I know we've put in here now, there's a map showing all the parcels that are 1 acre, 1 to 3 acres. I thought that was important. I haven't heard from anyone who said don't do it, like the residents I've talked to who didn't want it. But at the same time, I think a lot of people don't have any idea this is going to happen.
You want me to pull it up on the screen?
Sure, if you want to throw it up there, that's all right. If the board saw it. This was a late addition to the packet, so I don't know if you saw it, but there's lots of places where this would fit. This doesn't take into account HOAs, obviously. I do have a little bit of a concern with how the language is in here relative to homeowners associations. And I would want number one, how do we know that the homeowners association is strong? Because I don't want us going out there trying to make some legal decision on whether they've got the right to do that to their members. And so I would want something in here that says the township will not get involved in disputes between homeowners associations and their members. And whether that means we don't require this, because again, if we allow it, but the HOA doesn't, that's up to the HOA to take action, in my opinion. And are we at any kind of risk by putting language in here where we're opening ourselves up to be part of that debate? I don't want to get in that debate with an HOA and the homeowner. So that was a concern. And the only other thing is, if we have 1,000 people come in next year and say, we hate this, we don't want this happening, I mean, we have the right to modify this in the future?
Yeah.
Okay, because again, I haven't heard from anybody, and I think that's good, but I think we need to be fair that a lot of residents don't know what's happening yet, if it's approved.
Right.
And that, the sense of the board certainly would change if we had people beating down our door saying, don't let it happen. We haven't had that yet. So I just think that it's important we know that. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Paul.
I
Clerk
think a
Newbeck?
follow-up to what Paul said about that we're not going to engage with the HOA. I think it's important, too, that we maybe have something in there that says that we're not going to engage in civil neighbors disputes as well. I mean,
Well, Mr. Kelly will probably have to speak to this. I mean, if we end up having a complaint that's neighbor-generated, and there's a legitimate reason for that complaint, we do have an obligation to enforce this ordinance. So I don't know how we could avoid, denying or avoid not being involved if a legitimate complaint is brought forth to the township.
for instance, like sound.
Yeah.
They're too noisy. Are we going to get to where we're going to be taking sound meters out and gate like we do the raceway? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
what might be considered too noisy for me might not be considered too noisy for you. You know, I just think I am all for it. I'm thankful that the planning commission was able to, along with you, come to some sort of a resolution that they could bring to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fair ordinance. It's uncharted territory for us. Yes, I mean, I know, and they didn't mention in here, City of the Village also allows chickens, so does Oakland Township, but it's new for Independence Township. I know people are doing it now, but
Correct.
regulating of it is new for the township.
Yes.
So it's some uncharted water. So that's like when Paul said, I know that's something that we can revisit and make amendments where maybe necessary. It's just,
Well, that is one of the reasons why we recommended that this be done through a general ordinance that is under the authority of the Township Board. Because then there's no non-conforming rights that one would enjoy under the zoning ordinance. And, it includes more regulatory language in here than you would normally have in a zoning ordinance. I mean, in other words, it's written more like a nuisance ordinance from that standpoint. In regard to Mr. Brown's, Treasurer Brown's comments, we would have to consult with Mr. Kelly's office about how we might avoid that. But I don't think that should, I think that was one of the concerns of the Planning Commission, that we do have some condominium developments that have minimum acre lots in them, up in your territory, as a matter of fact, up in that part of the township. And we felt that it would be necessary for the homeowners association, like they do with a lot of other things, would have to sign off before the township would issue a permit.
So, if you're.
Sure, of course.
So there are other things people ask for permits for that we require the HOA to say it's okay?
Frequently, yes.
Okay, if that's normal, then,
Zoning permits,
okay.
if it's normal, then okay.
It
I
is.
guess
It is.
then it's fine. I just-
It's more normal, actually, than you might think. We have quite a few, the building department gets quite a few.
Okay, and then the last piece is on, again, to something you said. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. If someone can't meet these requirements, they can't go to the ZBA and ask for a variance. Is that
No.
what you're saying?
No, they'd have to come to you.
They have to come to this board. So this,
Correct.
okay, I did not understand that or know that.
Yep.
So that's,
Right. Yeah, actually, Trustee Ritchie.
thank you.
I was going to say, the way the ordinance is written, or the way we set it up, is like if the HOA doesn't approve, or, whether it's strong or weak or whatever, it's still considered a complaint. And so it's grounds to not permit that person to have the chickens. And the other thing, going back to the approval for like the HOAs, like most likely you're gonna need a chicken coop for this, which is a structure. So if you put a shed or something in your yard and you have an HOA that says they don't allow sheds in the yard, that would apply to this as well,
Yeah.
too, so. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Carrie?
So for renewal, is that something that's going to be on the applicant to reapply? That's not something that administration is going to have to send out? I mean, when you look at this map, we could very easily have quite a few permits, or requests for permits.
Correct.
So is that something that we're going to be sending out, administration sending out notices saying 30 days, your permit's going to
I'll let
expire?
Brian respond to that, but I will say, just this map, does show it, but I mean, a lot of these parcels are not available. As, you know, Brian and I've talked about that. Some of it actually is wetland that I can see on here. I will just tell you from our experience in the communities where we've written these ordinances, you're not going to have a groundswell of applications. You will have some people that are very interested in it. You'll have some people that pursue it, and you'll have many people that pursue it and then realize it's a lot of work. So I would be surprised if you did receive a tremendous amount of interest, although you will have some interest. There's no question about it, and that's why you need to have an ordinance. We're finding that this is a movement, I guess, or an interest on a lot of people's parts, and a lot of communities have developed ordinances and been able to do so pretty successfully without a lot of pain, so to speak.
Brian gonna answer to that.
Yeah, I was gonna answer the question about whether we're gonna be kind of chasing people down. We're gonna treat this just like a land use permit, so those are similar to when we have the expired permits for building, mechanical, electrical that we're trying to clean up right now. Those letters will get spit out automatically to be sent to these people once they expire. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
How is this limiting large acre parcel chicken quantities now? Where before, when it was 3 acre
If it was not a
minimum-
farming operation, yes.
No, not a farming, like
Yeah.
before, if you had a 10 acre parcel, you could have more than 4 chickens.
Yeah, yes, it does.
So now are people that actually have big parcels, are they gonna be restricted?
Yes.
Down to the amount of chickens someone could only have on 1 acre?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, even at 3 acres, I think you were only allowed 1 chicken, so, at 3 acres.
Is there a reason why that wasn't addressed?
No, I think we did address it because, like, say for the most part, I think for, maybe not at 10 acres, but I think up to maybe 6 or 7 acres, you can actually have more chickens. Like right now, at 3 acres, you can only have 1 chicken. It's so many chickens per acre,
And that's 10 per acre.
10 per acre,
Yeah.
so.
That might need to be cleaned up. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that we allow 4 chickens on 1 acre and 1 chicken on 3 acres.
Yeah.
I think at 3 acres was only 1 chicken though, right?
And then it's like 1/10 of an acre, you get another chicken for each 1/10, I think it says in here somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of words going on. It's hard to follow this a little bit, because there's a lot of different repetitive language, so but I mentioned, I talked with Brian about this before. What I don't want to do is restrict, people who live out in the country on 10, 20, 30 acres that have, more chickens, that that we're restricting them down to what we allow on 1 acre doesn't seem proportionate, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, we did not, I mean, I think we were trying to make this more simple rather than more straightforward, but if that's something the Township Board would like, something more of a graduated scale, that's certainly something that is not uncommon.
Would this have to go back to the planning commission to get fixed?
No.
So it could be fairly simple to have some language in there in a just small paragraph that indicates.
Yeah, no, this is a board, we're at the board level. We
Okay.
brought it to the planning, the ordinance amendment to the zoning ordinance, which exempted this, chickens being raised under these circumstances was exempt from the zoning ordinance regulations and kicked into this general ordinance.
Okay.
So now it is in your hands, and I think what you're requesting would not be a major change that we'd have to, it would be very easily accommodated in this ordinance. But I would recommend to you that you do it on somewhat more of a graduated scale, because I think there was a feeling that, when you're at acre or even maybe 3 acres, you're still, in many places in the township, you still have neighbors. There's only still 200 minimum lot, foot minimum lot width in these areas. And your point being, you know, some of the larger parcels, much less of a problem.
Are there any, when you do, like right now, are there any parcels that they can free range on in the township, no matter how big they are? Or is this gonna restrict everything to coop only?
This would restrict everything to coop only.
And currently, right now?
But when you say, I mean, free range, I mean, they still can be in an enclosed, I mean, there can still be a coop, but still, there could still be some enclosed, some means of enclosure,
Right.
okay?
Well, what I'm saying is like where I live at, there's people that have chickens and they you know, they got 10 acres, 20 acres, and they walk around on their property, you know? And if
Well,
this
sometimes they
ordinance-
walk around other people's property
Well,
too.
They can, of course, but now those people that live out in the rural areas are going to have to pull a permit and be restricted to only 4 chickens and never letting them out of their pen and
Yeah.
all of that by allowing the people in dense areas to have chickens. And that's what I know, I don't like the idea that the people who want to live in a rural area and have the benefits of rural are being restricted so that we can give people in high-density areas
Yeah.
the ability to have chickens. So I don't know how you separate them, but that is something that I've talked to, Brian about, and I've struggled with, that I feel like we're
Yeah.
penalizing the people who live in areas where you would think chickens would be allowed in order to have chickens in areas that you wouldn't think they would be, so.
Sure. Ron, do you have something?
Well, I was gonna say, just,
Okay.
my comment about the free ranging thing is that it's not legal for your chickens to walk over to your neighbor's yard, so that's part of what the restriction is, so there is no free ranging.
What if the neighbor throws feed on their grass?
Well, I'm just saying, if the neighbor complains, though, it's a violation. That's what,
Here,
you
chicky,
know.
chicky,
So
call the
that-
township, he's in my yard.
So that's how you control it, it's like, you can't free range your chickens, so you have to
So-
enclose them somehow.
Yeah.
So, I agree, some kind of graduation on it, you gotta have something somewhere, but to say I've got 2.99 acres and I can have 4, but if I've got 3 acres and I can have 10, I don't know what the number is. But if there's a simple way to fix this issue, so that we do this and then identify a graduation at 3 acres and up,
We could do that, I mean,
that
easily.
would allow for, more.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the number is.
Well,
Maybe
fortunately,
it starts at 4, and then there's a couple more, you get one more for every acre up to 10, or.
fortunately, we can get some advice on that, because the person in our office who you've met, Megan, has a lot of experience in this area, and we have a very good contact at the Cooperative Extension Service, and we also Department of Agriculture that can provide us with some advice in terms of what the thresholds are.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comment from the public? No? Anyone online? All right, I guess I need a motion.
I don't know how you what it looks like.
But this is the first reading, though. From the second reading, we can.
I'll make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of the ordinance to amend Charter Township of Independence Ordinance Code, Chapter 50, zoning ordinance, revisions to Article 2 and Section 5.11, including the addition of a new Article 4 and Chapter 8 of the General Code of Ordinances relating to keeping of chickens, and schedule the second reading on the next available Board of Trustees regular meeting following the required publication.
Okay. I need a second? Motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, this is a roll call, so.
Correct.
All right.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes?
Trustee Morocco?
No,
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Supervisor Aliaga?
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-1.
Okay. Thank you, guys. All right. Okay, we're going for, Brian?
Yep.
It's about-
The next item on the agenda is the request to approve a first reading of a zoning ordinance map amendment for 7006 Ashbaugh Road for the petitioner Leo Capital Investments LLC. They're requesting a rezoning of a parcel that I'll describe in a minute from C1 to OS2 on a property that's located east of Culver's, Taco Bell, and Arby's on the east side of Sashbaugh Road. There is a parcel there between the golf course and those commercial establishments. The site's one of 2 remaining development sites on the east side of the Sashbaugh Crossings East. The site's within the Sashbaugh Corridor Target Plan, and it area in the master plan, and the future land use for the site is office service. Therefore, the request conformed to the master plan. The Planning Commission held their public hearing on September 14th and voted unanimously to recommend approval to the board. And Mr. Carlisle, I did provide his report in the packet, so any specific questions, Mr. Carlisle is here to answer.
Okay, any questions from board members for Mr. Dick Carlisle?
Let's make a comment that basically I think the conversation at the planning commission was that this rezoning makes the property less dense, or capable of being less dense than it originally was zoned at. So that was part of the reason why it was approved by the planning commission. So.
Okay, that's a good point. All right. Any other board members would like to?
Brian, does this make it easy, more compatible for a hotel? Is that?
As one of the possible uses, yes. There's also a sit-down restaurant. There's a lot of other uses in OS2 that they could be compatible.
Trustee
with.
Morocco.
Oh, and OS2 could also be restaurants and stuff too?
Can you get the
With a special
microphone
land
close?
use.
Because it's
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the-
those 2 uses specifically require a special land use.
But they would be allowed in the OS2, but require special land
Yeah,
use?
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Member from the public? Any comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the zoning ordinance map amendment for 7006 Sashbaugh Road from C1 Local Commercial to OS2 Office Service 2, located on the east side of Sashbaugh Road, north of Interstate 75, located in Section 22 of the Township, scheduled a second reading before the Township Board of Trustees, following completion of the required legal documents and review by the Township's General Counsel, and direct the clerk to publish notice in the manner prescribed by law.
Support.
Okay, it's a roll call.
Treasurer Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Morocco,
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie,
Yes.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Motion carried, 5-0.
Okay. All right, Brian?
Okay, last item for me tonight is the request to approve the second reading and adoption of 2 amendments to the zoning ordinance. 1 to allow dual ordering stations, and 2 is limiting the number of site plan special use extensions and clarification on the length of the extension. We had an extensive discussion during the first reading on these amendments. Dual ordering stations obviously have become very common, and you see them throughout the township already. With McDonald's has them. They had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get those. Culver's was approved by the Planning Commission, pending the ordinance amendment here, because they're going to a dual ordering setup as well. And I'm sure with the having COVID, it's become very popular now, and the drive-through traffic, according to Culver's, has not really dropped off since COVID, which is an interesting statistic that they shared with us. It's a minor amendment that also there's a slight modification to the sign ordinance as part of this amendment, but it's a pretty straightforward, allowing the ability to have a dual ordering station. The second one is related to Planning Commission extensions. Again, we talked extensively about that during the first reading. This is, we receive a lot of inquiries about how long the extension lasts, when do I have to submit, and we needed some clarification on that. The ordinance right now is kind of open-ended. We wanted it to specifically state they're good for a year. And the Planning Commission and their discussion felt that 3 years, 3 times is enough. We don't get very many requests for extensions. I think we've had maybe 3 in the last 15 years. So it's not a heavily used part of the ordinance, but still it's for clarification's sake, for the staff, it's important that the petitioner knows that they have to pay attention to the dates. So, and they would only be good for they could come back 3 times for 3 extra years. So, I think that's the extent of my comments. Mr. Kelly's firm has prepared them in ordinance format, so they are ready to be signed if approved.
Okay. Any board comments? Any board members?
I was opposed to the 3 extensions before. I still am. I think that it limits us on our ability to take another look at a plan in case the surrounding properties have changed in 4 years. So definitely not. I think that's way too lenient and limits us on our ability to get the best project. But the dual ordering stations I'm fine with. Makes sense.
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay.
the second reading and adopt the amendment to the Charter Township of Independence Ordinance Code, Chapter 50, zoning ordinance, revisions to Section 10.03E and Section 12.06H relating to allowing the ability to allow dual ordering stations and direct the clerk to publish notice in a manner prescribed by law.
Support.
Motion has made and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Supervisor Aliaga?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
You have a second motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and adopt an amendment to the Charter Township of Independence Ordinance Code, Chapter 50, zoning ordinance, revisions to Section 6.08C and 7.03E relating to limiting the number of extensions that an applicant can request for site plans and special land uses. Also, it provides clarification that the extensions are good for 1 year and direct the clerk to publish notice in a manner prescribed by law.
Support.
All right. Roll call.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Supervisor Aliaga?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
No.
Motion carried.
Our DPW Director, Dave McKee.
Good evening, everyone, and now for something completely different. So, we're going to talk well pumps here.
I'm sorry, where do we put the item moved from consent? I thought it was after 4.
After
Yes, I
4.
believe so.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hold on, Dave.
Sorry, Dave.
No
Yeah.
worries, no worries.
So,
So,
Jen, you're up.
Jen, yeah. Jen is for you because we'll move it to 5th, okay.
You'll be next, Dave.
You will be next,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry,
You
we
moved
moved
an item
consent,
from
yeah.
consent.
Thank you for agreeing to move this to a regular business item. On the original consent item was the request to approve the directive to have Oakland County Transit draft a cooperative transit pilot program between Independence Township and North Oakland Transportation Authority. We're requesting this. We've been in conversations and multiple meetings with the county and NODA since the passage of the millage. Part of the outcome of the transportation millage that was passed, the county had directed NODA to expand their service area and their boundaries to include Independence Township, Springfield Township, Brandon, and Groveland Townships. Currently, we provide transportation services to Independence, the Village of Clarkston, and Springfield Township residents. And so there's been a reimbursement program that was brought in front of the board for millage funds to come back and reimburse the township. The concern now is that NODA is been directed to expand our services, and we have no idea what that looks like. We've been in conversations. We know that NODA at this point is in no position to assume in totality the services that we provide. They just are not equipped to do that. They don't have the resources. So we've been in conversations with the county, and we would like to see a more comprehensive plan other than us just handing over our current service that we provide. We've requested from the county a continuation of reimbursement for funds that come out of our general fund for transportation services. The county has been reluctant and not agreeable to that up to this point. We've talked through different scenarios with NODA and with the county, but at this point, we're asking that the board approve us to go ahead and get something comprehensive in writing from the county. So this is kind of a result of the conversations that we've had over the past year. So currently, what's happening right now is a result of the millage to expand services, is if the senior center receives calls requesting services outside of our normal hours and boundaries of operation, we are directing them to contact NODA and ask for those extended services. We've been provided quite a bit of feedback, some positive, some not positive. And then if anyone in Independence Township is contacting NODA for rides within our service hours and boundaries, that they have them call us for those needs. So NODA is accepting applications for Springfield, the Village, and Independence Township, and that they should be enrolling in both programs. I just said that there's been a lot of feedback with this so far. So as a result of that, we've had, and our primary concern is we know the quality and level of service that we provide to our residents, and that basically our concern is some of our folks are really going to get lost in this transition, especially our special needs folks, our disabled adults, our seniors. About half of our ridership meets those needs to provide rides to work, shopping, a variety of activities, banking, and the special needs folks in our community make up about 50% of our riders. So we want to make sure, that our tax dollars are going, our millage tax dollars, we're getting something for this millage for our residents, but also that they're able to provide a level of service and meet that, and that's an expectation that we have. So as part of this directive, that is what we're asking the county to do with a pilot program, so we can assess, NODA's current level of operations. We maybe be working side by side with them, exploring some different avenues. So that is what the proposal is that was outlined. It's just an outline that we will present to Oakland County and see what they come back with to us, so we can bring something more official in front of the board.
Okay. Clark Newell?
I haven't been in any of your joint meetings, so I probably have some questions that others already know the answers to, but earlier on, you mentioned that they wouldn't be able to meet the current needs of our current services. because they don't have adequate staffing. What are you referring to
Okay,
in
so.
saying that?
So as far as prior to the millage, we are considered what the county considers us a micro transit operator. And with the millage in place now, they want to dissolve all of these micro transit operators. So the problem is we are one of the largest micro transit operators, and we have, the number of rides that we provide. NODA has said that they are not equipped, they don't have the drivers, they don't have the buses, they don't have the means to just, if at the end of the year, we have no guarantees from the county that they're gonna provide any reimbursement to us, then, what's gonna happen to our transportation system? And that would be that NODA would be absorbing us, but they're not really in a position to do that. NODA is saying that it would take probably 6 to 9 months for them to be able to be up to speed, to have the resources to cover the rides that we currently provide, and to our services, to our residents. And so we just want to know what's going to happen in that interim to make that a smooth transition, if that was what was to occur.
And is NODA presenting this pilot, or are we presenting this pilot?
Well, we're asking for a pilot program from them so that we can evaluate and see exactly what this transition would look like.
So they provide these services in other communities already. What level have they told you? I mean, do they meet the handicap and senior needs of these other communities? Because they've already been established in other communities for some time.
Yeah, they are established. And they provide the same service that we do, but we've had, and part of this is based on some of our riders that have called us and said, we had a dialysis patient that we provide services to, rides to, and they said, well, we called NODA and they told me I couldn't get a ride there because they didn't have availability. So that's just one example of the concerns that we want to make sure, if we're no longer going to provide services, or they're saying that they're going to come in and provide services to our residents, we want to make sure that they're able to do that. So by us requesting some kind of a pilot program, we can see exactly how that's going to work.
So it sounds like we're not going to get the future reimbursement funding going forward.
That's what the county is telling us, but we're still asking that. And the reason, and that's part of this, Carrie, is because that's what the county is telling us, but at the same time, they're telling us the service provider that they want to come in is not able to, or equipped at this point to do that.
Treasurer Brown?
So relative to not being prepared, is that calculus being done by NODA based on them not having our vehicles? Because I don't know that they're going to buy all new vehicles. The whole idea would be for them to, in some fashion, absorb our units, hire our employees who would, and hopefully have these vehicles still in Independence Township. And my understanding was maybe even some additional vehicles, like some smaller buses or van operations for especially for dialysis.
Yeah, that is correct.
So is that, I'm sorry, so if they say they can't handle it, is it because they don't have our vehicles yet? Because they can't, I don't imagine they're gonna go buy all new vehicles in order to prove they could do it when the end game is for them to have the vehicles we have now as part of it. Is that-
Correct, and they do want our assets, but they're also saying that they need double of what we would even be able to supply them.
Mhm.
And our staffing, Our staff pretty much has indicated that they are really not interested in working for NODA. Their hours that their employees are required to work and their service area that they cover, which is a substantial amount of Oakland County. At this point, you know, there have been many of our employees that have just indicated that they're not interested in that. So they have requested that from us, and that has been discussed, yes. So yes, that would be taking into account that our drivers and our vehicle assets and our funding assets would be turned over to the county.
Clark Newbeck?
You also mentioned something about they have to apply. Are you referring to the riders applying, or are you referring to our staff to apply?
There's an application process that everyone goes through to ride, whether they ride with us or NODA. So when NODA receives phone calls, I'll clarify that, when NODA receives phone calls, they have from anyone in Independence, Springfield, or the Village, or any other community, that they apply to, they go through NODA's application process.
In the instance, one more question, I'm sorry. In the instance of the resident that couldn't get to dialysis, is that something that we make accommodation for, which might be the day of, and I can see where NODA wouldn't have that availability? Or is it, you know, if I call and I say I have an appointment on November 7th, can you take me? And they say, no, we don't have any availability. Or is it, my doctor had an opening and said I said I needed to go today, it's urgent, can you take me today? And they say, I'm sorry, we don't have any availability. What's the situation that you're talking about?
So, and they did call to schedule in advance, but NODA just didn't, all their rides are subject to availability, so they do not guarantee a ride. We don't either, but ours are, because we operate a little bit smaller, we do have more flexibility to accommodate individuals.
Trustee Morocco?
I was at some of those meetings, and I want to commend you ladies for putting this pilot outline together, because I know that was a lot of work, and it covers a lot of good things. Really, what the issue that I noticed from the meeting is they're not absorbing Independence Township. They're absorbing everybody that there is that they can absorb. So the amount of volume they're picking up is a lot. And then to expand the distances means that the vehicles are way out of town, or they're over on the east side, or they're down in Farmington. So the turnaround times are tighter with less vehicles, or longer, because they're going further distances. The benefit of the later hours and weekends, of course, is a huge benefit if they can get employees to do it. What I took away from the meeting was, we're giving them $1.8 million, and they're gonna just take us over. So we did ask them if they could just throw us a bone and give us $400,000 out of that and keep the rest for themselves, but they weren't going for it. So they're not gonna do that. But I agree that the assurances they made were not able to be made without our staff pretty much doing everything we're doing and more. So I think that we do need to push them for a pilot program, and we do need to, because we've had a great service for 25 years, other communities that got absorbed are not losing anything, they're all gaining things. So there's a big difference there. We have the potential to lose a very personal service that we've been providing for decades. So I think we need to be the one that they cater to more, that they pay attention to more, and that we need to get, make sure that we're being taken care of, because we had something special, and we're not. I don't see the benefit of the further distances and the extended hours over a depletion of our normal service that we're providing now. So there is going to be a high bar for them to try to meet that. But the director, is it Eli? Is that his name?
Eli Cooper, yes.
He made some pretty big assurances that we're going to hold them to, and he seemed to be very involved in it and committed to making it work. But we're definitely justifiable to be a little bit skeptical of it. And I'm definitely in support of seeing how we can, without turning everything over and going cold turkey on the thing, be able to see if they can transition in and actually meet the requirements and the expectations that our residents have, for sure.
Thank you, Sam, because yes, this is just making sure that we're doing our due diligence with that.
Mr. Trevnevik?
Guess one follow-up. If we go through with the pilot and the pilot is not meeting what appears to be our needs, whatever that might be, what is your plan B? I mean, we can't meet the needs for the expanded services now for further distance and not just handicapped and elderly. We can't meet that.
Well, that was
under
going
our-
back to our initial request was what we do is that the county, either notice subcontracts us so that we can continue to provide our paratransit services, and we could do that through NODA, in some collaborative fashion. And that was our original ask, was that we just get money to subsidize our current program within our current hours and boundaries of operation. So basically, we would say the same, and that NODA continues just to provide those expanded services. And that was our original ask, and that would be what we would go back to, because we just want, like I said, we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence.
The other communities that we also service currently, are they on board with the same idea of the pilot? And
Yes.
should it not work doing what you're proposing?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, we've made sure that we're in contact, and we've been step by step through this process, communicating with Springfield Township and the village.
I know this is uncharted waters again for us in another area, but it's something that NODA, WODA, and OPC have been doing for years successfully. Are you giving the feedback, the current feedback to NODA, the positive as well as the negative that you're receiving, that current feedback now, so that they're aware?
And so we haven't been sharing a lot of information up until this point. I mean, our conversations have been through the county, the feedback that we're getting, because we have had positive feedback as well with riders using NODA. So, it hasn't been all negative. There's been positive experiences that folks are telling about us as well.
I just think that would be beneficial, just to open up the lines of communication both ways, to let them know where it is working and where it's not just, because this is something that they haven't done here before, and as they're saying, they might be biting off more than they can chew, or they might be planning, and they've just not been forthcoming with us on how to do it.
I think there's a little bit of both of that, actually, because they've put out messaging and information that this is what they're doing, but it wasn't communicated to us. As far as expanding hours and operations, like their messaging now says that they're servicing Independence, Springfield, Groveland, the village of Clarkston, Brandon, and it makes, in the message, the perception there is that they're the current operator, exclusive operator. And so our primary concern is the amount of expansion that they're doing it. They're being pushed in a very limited time span, and how fast it's being rolled out. So that was our concern in doing our due diligence by slowing that process down a little bit.
When does our current reimbursement funding end?
December of
as
this
we know?
year. At
December
the end
of
of
this
this year, yes.
Okay.
Trustee Ritchie?
So are we already legally obligated to turn over our assets?
We're not.
Well, like I say, to me, in listening to everything, you're saying it's almost positive there's going to be a loss of services to our residents or the surrounding residents that utilize our current system, because if it gets absorbed and they don't provide the same level of transportation, then it's gonna be a loss to our residents.
That's
Correct.
what we feel
So,
right now. I
by,
mean, and that's,
by us continuing on, in, I guess, our subsidized fashion through the township, we can still provide those services and let NOTA maybe grow to be able to, take on more of the rides, but we could still have that service.
But I don't think we're gonna be funded. We're not gonna be reimbursed.
Well, they're not gonna be reimbursed, but we didn't get money before. Obviously,
Yes.
we got our tax money that's going from our residents to the county.
We got smart money. We got reimbursed through smart money.
so we get partial, we do get some partial reimbursement. So we do get municipal credits, municipal and community credits, specialized services, and some other revenue streams that come in to offset some of our expenses. It's a small amount compared to the overall amount that we pay out of our general fund currently.
I'm not saying I've got the finance thing figured out, but I'm just saying that, to me, there might be a way to keep our services and figure out a new funding source for it, to make up for the smart money or whatever that we're not gonna get. But it's a way we could maybe still, and even if we don't do as large a section as we are now, at least we could maybe continue that on until NOTA can grow and provide those services that are promised, I guess.
And Smart provides the vehicles to us, or are we paying for the vehicles?
We won't get that. Okay, hold on.
So yes, we do lease our vehicles through Smart. We do have a funding stream that we get our vehicles from. We pay for the vehicle repair and maintenance and oil and gas.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Treasurer Brown?
So the conundrum that we're in is, it starts with the passage of the transit millage. So they're pulling 1.8 million and rising as taxable values increase. So within a couple of years, they'll be taking $2 million from the township. And, the problem is, I don't know how we'll ever figure out whether they can do it by piecemealing it, because we're setting it up to be a failure if we don't let them figure out and prove themselves, right? Because if we just say we're gonna have them do some of it, and we're gonna do some of it, I think there's a really good chance there's gonna be failures on their side. And how will we ever know if they can really do the job right for the residents? And keep in mind, we want to make sure that the folks we currently serve, our seniors and our disabled folks, right, they're going to get an expanded service if it works the way they say it does. And every other resident, in addition, can then ride this. And that's the part I want to make sure folks understand. There's no limitation on utilizing this system. Now, to me, expanding the service and making sure we prioritize our current users to make sure their rides are done first, I think is important as they try to fill out the system to take care of all of our needs. Because who really knows for sure how many folks who are not part of that key group are gonna start taking advantage of it, right? We can have 20-some-year-olds saying, hey, let's get a bus to take us down to Royal Oak and take us back. And so there's a lot of different opportunities. But if we basically don't do everything we can to try and make it succeed, our end game is they're taking $2 million and we're gonna get nothing for it. And we're gonna try to keep providing the service we do now, and we're gonna spend another $200,000 or $300,000 on top of the $2 million. And we have to figure out, and I don't know what the answer is, because I'm not in this business, but we've got to do everything we can to figure out how to make this work for our taxpayers.
And I think
So-
that's what this directive is trying to do, is to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in getting the money from the county, from this millage, for our people. But at the same time, it can be a slow and gradual process, so we can make sure that the county is held accountable to what they're saying and promising. And that's part of, and I agree with you, because there is no clean-cut way to do that. But at least this allows us to maintain some kind of, having some kind of say in the conversation and just not dropping our program and all these folks and having some kind of assurance, basically, that they are able to, to provide the services that they're saying they will.
Method to transition.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I will open for public comment. Anyone would like to address to the board regarding this matter? Okay. Please come to the podium, address, tell us your name and address.
Board members, first of all, thank you for what you do. Appreciate it very much. So my name is Robert White, resident, Clarkston, Independence Township, 7355 Deer Hill Drive, Clarkston, Michigan, 48346. So thank you for your explanation. I'm sort of just catching up on this. I did access the board packet, so I read through and listened to the comments carefully. I questioned, first of all, why are we outsourcing this? Because that's what we're doing. And, from being in business for 30-some years, I'm aware that outsourcing can solve some problems. But I said, well, what is the problem? It's not quality, because the transportation program we have now is a gold standard as far as I'm concerned. So it's not a quality issue. The fact that we may not provide transportation on weekends and maybe there's a limit on the hours of the day, that's never been an issue for my use anyway. So it can't be quality. My son, I'm sort of a secondary consumer because my son uses current services to get to his job in a Clarkston restaurant. And it's more than just point A to point B. I can tell you that the drivers that we have are professional, they're courteous, they care, they develop relationships, not just with individuals with special needs, but the elderly, and they know them and their friends, they watch out for them. And that's the gold standard that brings people to this township. We can't lose that. So then I said, well, if it's not quality, then maybe it's budget. Now I understand it is budget in a way, but it's not a budget problem we have now. It's one that could hit us in December. So there's a threat of a budget issue here if we don't come up with a resolution. But more importantly, I learned tonight that it's pure politics. It's a hammer that the county's using to say, really, you really don't have a decision. Either you're going to comply or we're going to take these funds and we're not going to reimburse them. And that to me is disingenuous, and I'll take that up in another board environment. But I think that I read a comment in the summary that says that if we move in this direction that they want us to, it allows taxpayers to see the use of their tax dollars at work. I see that today. It's being put to use in good use today, so that's not an issue. So the only caution, and my wife always tells me it's like you're lecturing people, and I don't mean to do that, but there's one caution of even pursuing a pilot, and that is that if you start to outsource a core competency, you'll never get it back because it'll be too costly. You'll lose your people. You'll lose, that competency will erode, and even in a pilot phase. Because this is a really, how do you, as board member Paul Brown said, well, maybe, how do you do it all at once with a leap of faith? Do you say we're going to have a learning curve and put all of our residents that are currently using the service in some kind of jeopardy, or they're not going to be able to use the service anymore? That's not acceptable either. So, I don't have an answer, but I can tell you that the caution that from my experience is that even in pursuing a pilot, you've got to make sure that you can go backward to a Plan B if it doesn't work. So pilot phase might be right, but you've got to have the metrics in place and the measures, and you can't get rid of all of your infrastructure because then you won't have a choice. You've got to go ahead with whatever result you have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay. All right, I guess we,
A follow-up question. Did
Sure.
legal look over, did legal have a chance to look at this proposal, this pilot proposal?
oh, legal didn't, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Treasurer Brown?
It says it's been reviewed.
Mhm.
We've not done a review. It was recommended by Brittany from my office that insurance and liability be added.
Okay.
Okay.
I think this is an important thing that should be reviewed.
They should review, yeah.
That's where I'm at on it.
We maybe can hold it and table it and put it for review.
See what we get for a motion.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
This is for Mr. Kelly. Would there be some benefit that we have somebody from your firm with, attending some meetings with our parks folks, so they've got that support of a legal person who might be able to help answer questions that are, because this thing's gonna be a little bit complicated, and I just wonder if it doesn't make sense for us to commit some resources from that, so they've got a professional who can help them with some of these details.
I mean, I think that might be a very good idea. I don't know how much there's been interaction with my office. I don't know if there's been a lot, but, I mean, we've done, of course, I represent Oxford and Orient, who are part of NODA, and I've done, I think, 3 other deals around the county.
I just think it would be more effective if somebody was attending, so that when, obviously, probably not talking during those meetings, but when they come out of the meeting, and then, you've got questions, Jennifer's got questions about what does this mean, what does that mean, and you've got the resource that heard it, and it would be able to respond much more quickly as you evaluate how this ends up looking. So if they would like that, I certainly would think that would be a good idea.
I mean, I listened to the presentation and the questions, and I can tell you, just from my experience, that the county doesn't have this all worked out. So, and that tells me that there may be room for negotiations as well in the pilot program, and maybe some reimbursement, as been indicated by Trustee Morocco, I don't think is completely off the table, to be honest with you.
Well,
I agree with you. Yes, Trustee Morocco.
So, they, at the meeting that, where the head guy,
Eli.
was at, he had referenced another pilot program that they had done with the larger transportation authority in, I think, WODA.
Yeah, Western.
They didn't really offer up the fundamentals of that agreement to us at the meeting, which is why these ladies have worked so hard to kind of try to bullet point everything that they could possibly think of that we want to consider. So I kind of saw this as, we're going to, approve this, and we can make it contingent on a review, just so there's nothing crazy in there. But it's really going to go to them for review, and then I would expect that we're going to have another meeting with Eli, and I think her name was Linda, who runs the day-to-day, I think, operation of it. And they're going to come back with what they think is an acceptable pilot program and guidelines for a pilot program. And at that point, I agree with Paul. At that point, now we're negotiating with the county. This is just to kind of put your toe in the water. Then they're going to come back with either no or nothing like that, or and then I think it's very important at that point that that we're represented and at that meeting, so that once this goes to them, they review it, set up the meeting with us to meet face to face. We need somebody there with us and the Parks Department to break that down for us. There'll be a review process, and hopefully if they come up with a counter pilot program outline, we'll be able to time to review that prior to our face-to-face with them, so that we can do a little more expedited negotiation. You know, I would assume they're not gonna come to the meeting and throw a 30-page document, and I'm going, well, this is our revisions, you know, while we're sitting there, ready to negotiate with them. So how
I'm
do you
okay
think
with
it's gonna
that.
play out?
You know, you've got to be a little bit concerned about the timelines here, and, you know, and whether or not, dealing with the county tends to be a drawn-out process. So I don't know if there's timelines with regard to your budgeting for your current program. Is it just going to continue while these discussions go on? I would assume that they would. So, I mean, those are the considerations that I really don't know as I sit here.
Because, I mean, there could be a possibility where, I do agree that, and we've had talks about it, that it's gonna be hard to test them if we don't give it to them. But we own the, you know, we own, but we, you know, we have the buses, we have the staff, you know, and if we had to partially fund it, like we always have, you know, could we tweak it to where we go ahead and say, you take over the program, but we got 2 drivers and 2 vans that we're keeping for ourselves for rides that you can't fulfill until you can get to the, you know, to the value and.
Till grows.
Hmm?
Till grows.
Till it grows, just
Or
so that,
matures.
so, you know, somebody was denied because of the huge expansion, we have you know, we're subsidizing it with our driver and our van or 2 to pick up that slack through the transition. I don't know how it would work with them only doing, you know, we could start with only the after hours and longer distance rides, but that's not gonna give us a true feel for how they could do it, but I think there's a way we could have an auxiliary backup staff, that if you call note and your ride is turned down, then your backup call right now is back to the original number, and we have people standing by to try to fulfill those needs. And I don't know if that's possible, because I don't know,
Well,
I don't know the logistics of it.
They
but-
generally schedule ahead of time, so.
Right,
They
so
don't have
we
that
would
way.
know ahead of time that that they were denied, and we could pick up the slack with maybe 1 or 2 of our drivers and 1 or 2 of ours, then we give them the other 3 vans and say, you know, you act like you're running it, you know, and I don't know, I want to consult with the women
Yeah.
that run this program, but those are the things that we would want to try to negotiate, and we would certainly need some representation in how to make sure we're covered with that, if that's something that they choose, they want to go down that road, you know.
Yeah, it looks like we want to put a motion with contingency of review of, and then can, this office
I
can
would be
review
okay
this.
with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with
having
that.
Dan give it a
You
quick
wanna make
look
a
over
motion?
before it gets submitted to the county.
You would like to make the motion?
I
or
can
Paul?
make a
Okay,
motion,
make it,
but I don't know.
please.
If we-
I mean,
they got people
yeah,
talk that wanna
they
talk.
already did, I just had, all right, okay. All right,
Everybody good?
yeah, we are okay, right?
Anybody else?
Anybody else would like to speak, or we are okay? All right, Sam, can you make a motion? Oh, excuse me, I guess somebody wants to speak. Susan, would you like to say? Susan, you would like?
Online, needs to be on.
Yeah, okay, I guess. You need to be on mute, I think.
We need to do that though, right?
Looks like she's
Yeah.
trying to lower her
Yeah.
hand. Maybe she's changed her mind. Looked like she was attempting to lower her hand.
Yeah, all right, it looks like. Hold on, one second.
Hello,
Hello?
there she is.
Yes. Can you speak up, please?
We can't hear you, hold
Yes.
on. The volume go up to our tech people?
This $2 million that we are talking about, is it the money that we approved on the ballot to
Mhm.
create a transportation system?
Yeah.
It's-
Susan,
it's the
excuse me, can you please tell us your name and address, please?
Actually, my name is Susan Sidak. I'm a 45-year resident of Independence Township, but I did move out about a year ago.
Okay, and your address?
My current address is 4556 Mediterranean Circle, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
Okay. Oh, great, okay. So, right,
the question.
Yeah, the
So
question-
the answer to your question,
Where did this $2 million come
the
from?
answer to your question, it's the millage that we didn't approve, but other people did.
Yes.
We voted it down here.
The millage was
Yes,
for the
this is
county-wise.
millage money.
Okay, so other people.
Yeah. It was county-wise or
Well,
township.
Why can't we just keep our bus system the way it is and let them, I mean, we gave them our tax money, isn't it up to them to do something with it that we like or not like? And if we don't like it, we can always unvote it.
No. Yeah. Our township did not approve this on the ballot, but it was a county-wide proposal, and the county, because the south of Oakland County support that and have more population,
Got it.
obviously, that's what happened. Sadly,
Okay.
because, yeah, the Board of Trustees, actually, we passed a resolution against that proposal, the language before the county commissioner vote for it, but the county commissioners put it up there as a proposal, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sam would like to make a motion, or?
I'll move to approve the NOTA pilot program outlining questions and direct the staff to have Oakland County Transit draft a cooperative transportation pilot program agreement between Independence Township and North Oakland Transportation Authority after review from the Kelly firm.
Support.
Okay. Motion has made by trustee Morocco and supported by trustee Ritchie. It's a roll call. Claire Newick?
Simple majority, it says.
That's the roll call, simple majority. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate that. Our DPW director,
Let's talk
Dave
well
Dave
pumps.
McKean. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave, okay.
Now for something really,
Yeah,
really
something
different.
fun now.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dave.
Tonight before you is a board agenda item here is to do some preventative maintenance on one of our well pumps in the Deerwood section of the township. Deerwood number 2 well pump to be specific. So since I've been here, every year we do testing of all of our production wells, performance testing to make sure that the motor is good, the well pump is good, and the well itself is good. So there are 3 things there that we would always check. So this is paying off quite handsomely because we spent a lot of money in the past few years on that, but I was just talking with Rick by there and I was doing my budget, and I don't have to budget anything for next year to be done for this because we're getting caught up on things and we're doing things the right way and making sure that we're taking care of things. One of the last things that we wanted to do and get on here was the approval of the number 2 well pump in Deerwood. They're going to pull the motor and the well out and go through that. Production has dropped off approximately 9% on there, and that's we want to keep things as running as efficiently as possible. And we do budget for this every year, and it's all based off the yearly testing that we do and performance testing that we do on all of our production well pumps for our drinking water. A little side project in addition to that, though, is we wanted to purchase 50 bags of anthracite. Anthracite is the filter media we use in the filters. If you looked at it, it looks like Folgers coffee crystals, essentially what it does. We make sure that there's the correct amount inside of our filters as the well water goes in there, filters through there, and it takes out, we filter out the arsenic and iron, and we take care of all that. We need to add a little bit more. So we had to purchase 50 bags through there. All of these expenses are based off of Oakland County's competitively bid contract that we are participate in with a cooperative purchasing agreement. And I'm here from the board tonight to get approval to get this project going for this year. It'll be done this year, too.
Any questions from board members?
No, I think
No?
it's great. We're
All
getting
right.
everything all up to speed again.
Yeah.
Great.
It's been a while.
Okay.
Getting there.
Anyone would like to make the
I'll
motion?
make a motion.
Okay.
I'll move to approve well and pump maintenance services available through Oakland County's Cooperative Purchasing Program. Contract awarded to Peerless Midwest of Mishawaka, Indiana. Award number 005260 for professional well maintenance services as outlined for the number 2 Deerwood Water Treatment Plant pump and motor for a do not exceed amount of $70,080.
Support.
Okay. Okay, motion have made by trustee Morocco and support by trustee Ritchie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Next, we have our budget and operation analyst, Rick Jagger. Rick, how you doing?
Doing good. Everyone else doing good tonight? All right, I got several different budget amendments here tonight. They're all more housekeeping type things, but we'll run through them real quick here anyway. The Treasury Department. When the budgets were approved last year, he had a totally different staff. And as far as budgeting for health insurance and dental and everything like that, we were basically working with one buyout and two single plans, I believe it was. And his staff has changed to the point where it's one single plan and now 2 family plans. So obviously at the end of the year, we're going to have a real problem here. So this is just an amendment to health insurance and dental. $22,000 for the first one and $1,500 for the second. And the last thing that's on here is printing and publishing notices. There was an intent to bring those bills back in-house this year, and that's why we had a reduction in that particular line item. But again, due to his staffing changes and all the training that was involved, it just wasn't possible to do that. So we're going to be short about $5,000 for the tax bill printing. However, we are basically rebudgeting that reduction for 2024 because the plan is still to bring it, some of it at least, back in-house to cut that cost. And that was it on this first one.
Okay.
I'll make
Any-
a motion to approve 2023 budget amendment number 32 as presented.
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Pass. Thank you. Next.
The next one on here, Budget Amendment 33, Streetlight Department. This one here has been a challenge for a number of different years. It seems like every time we go up, the DTE decides to go up even higher. So it's a continue. We've been chasing them for years now, and this is the same type of thing here. Even though there is one little add-on here that was just brought to my attention right before the meeting, and I thought this amendment would be good enough, but I come to find out there's more money being spent on fixing control panels and different things like that out there, and there was another invoice that came through. And so the $7,000 that I have on here for the streetlight maintenance, I actually want to change that to $12,000, and that's the additional copy that I put on your computers before the meeting. So I would like to make that change kind of on the fly here, just since that information just became available to me, because otherwise it'd be coming back in 2 weeks and basically amending it again. So I figured maybe we can just do it all at the same time right now.
Thank you. Board comments? No? Motion, please.
I move to approve the 2023 budget amendment number 33 as amended.
Support.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Next.
Okay,
Rick.
Budget Amendment number 34, it's the Town Hall elevator repairs. The Town Hall elevator has undergone quarterly inspections and load tests for many years. Unfortunately, as things get older, they have a tendency to wear out and break, which is basically has happened despite the inspections. We do budget for inspections and minor repairs, but the total of this latest repair is just over $10,000, and it's more than what was budgeted for repairs, basically. The budget amendment needs to be for the $10,400, which covers the total cost and leaves about $6,000 in that equipment repair and maintenance account, just in case anything else happens this year.
Okay. Any board members' comments? No? All right.
No,
Any motion?
I'll move to approve the 2023 budget amendment number 34 as presented.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next.
Okay, and the last one here is Budget Amendment 35. It's funding for the Dixie DDA. Obviously, there's been several amendments to this, but the board ultimately approved $35,000. But there were prior approvals from a past supervisor, and it actually, that needs to be accounted for as well in addition to the 35. So what this amendment is, it's calling for an additional $15,000, $7,000 to cover what they're already over budget on, and then another $8,000 for services from the township's planner, Carlisle Wortman, to serve as the project coordinator.
Okay. Any board comments?
No, I think this is necessary. We finally got it done. We're ready to go. This should carry us through the end of the year. We have a meeting tomorrow night, so it's important that we get this through so that we don't lose momentum on the DDA. We got a lot of new property interests and property projects going,
Sure.
which is good. So we're going to see an immediate increase in revenue coming in, and that'll cover this expense that we're approving tonight.
And we will
Agree.
be having a budget too for this. It'll be presented at the same time, I believe, the general fund. if I can get
That's
that
gonna
right.
be really good for Dixie Highway for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, can you make a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve the 2023 budget amendment number 34 as presented.
Second, okay.
It's actually 35.
I know
Right.
it says it on the May 34,
Yeah.
but it is 35.
Yes.
I corrected.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And Leslie, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, lastly,
I knew that when I said it.
Carrie,
That was
you're
about
next.
But it did say.
Earlier this week, I received a resignation letter from trustee Matt Stoyan. That letter was included in the board packet. And also included in the packet, I outlined a proposed timeline to fill the position should the board accept the resignation, and also a vacancy notification to be published in the newspaper.
okay. Right,
I'll make a motion to accept the notice of resignation dated October 19th, 2023, received from Matthew Stoyan as a Charter Township of Independence trustee, effective at 12 midnight on October 24th, 2023.
Support.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion B.
Don't know if anyone has any comments or wants any changes to the proposed timeline. This follows suit for what we've done for our last couple
Vacancies.
Timeline.
Yeah.
when we've reached
That's all
out.
the timeline.
Puts it in the newspaper for 2 publications. It'll be on our website. I proposed, I think I put that in front of you, I proposed a special meeting date. I'm not grabbing it.
15?
Yeah, so is everyone available? Or do we need to discuss a different date for special meeting for interviews? And then there was a backup meeting date if we needed it.
Sure, the 15, I'm
What
fine.
date?
November 15.
Yes, I'm available.
Okay,
I'm available.
okay.
Do you want me to make a move?
The Thursday, November 16th is an alternate date if that was needed, if depending on what we get with applications. If we need to run off to another date, follow into a secondary date, is everybody available for that as well?
I would not be available on that day.
Okay.
I could be available.
Okay.
And does anyone have a suggestion for an alternate date if needed, if we can't do the 16th? And also a time. We all good with the 6 o'clock? 5:30, or what time would you like to?
6 o'clock is okay for the 15th, you don't have.
Okay.
6
Yeah.
is good for me.
Yeah, 6 is okay.
I could miss my standing meeting if I had to that Thursday, so we could
You could.
expedite things yet. It's a
Okay, if
Preservation
needed.
Clarkston meeting, but I could miss that to do it. if
Okay, all right, so
need
we'll
be.
be back on schedule with the 16th as the secondary if needed.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
so I'll make a motion to authorize the clerk to publish the vacancy and approve the proposed timeline as amended.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, communication and future agenda item report. Residential Open Space Advisory Committee, September 13, 2023. And then Residential Open Space Advisory Committee, October 2nd, 2023. Board member comments.
I've got some comments.
Okay. Trustee Morocco.
So something came to light recently about how the township's been verifying the installation of the storm sewer and private road construction. So it's something that I was taken back by, because I work in a lot of townships that you have to have third-party inspections, and it's something that this township hasn't done, and we're way behind the times on. So I wanted to run this by you and see what your opinions are. I've talked to Dave, the building inspector, Dave Moran, and Dave McKee here. So typically what happens in a township, because we don't want to take control over the storm sewer, and we don't want to take control over private roads. That's something we don't want to have our fingers in. But what's unique is that we don't have a requirement currently for a third-party inspection like other townships do and cities do. So as just as a protective measure and to protect the future purchasers of things, you know, we're way behind on this. It only makes sense that it doesn't cost the township anything. That now, I'm not sure if it's a policy change that Jose can make or if it's an ordinance change. That's probably the more definitive thing. That, but I recommend that we move exponentially, quickly to adopt a policy like I think every other community in the area has, that just says that so at the Planning Commission, Ron knows, we look at all the storm sewer layouts and stone and wrap and compaction and all that, and then with the roads built to county standards, and our engineers go over all those details to build it all to the county standards. But we don't require any oversight that it ever gets built that way. We just, it's on the honor system.
We don't require that one?
So,
Well, I don't know, at some point, it's got to be part of the, I guess, I'm not sure an exact procedure, but, you know, obviously there's supposed to be some evidence of they met that criteria.
there is, but we don't have any policy in place to mandate that they provide third-party inspections to say that it was done to the standards. So we're having our architects confirm and help design, to the standards and verify, but we don't, unlike other communities, we don't have whoever is doing the work, could be any, whoever's doing it, have a third party verify that they're doing it to the standards that was approved by the Planning Commission and the Township Board. And that's something that doesn't cost us anything, but we've been deficient on it. It would be irresponsible for us to continue that way, especially with road deterioration and things like that, because if somebody comes back to us after they buy a neighborhood or buy a development and the roads fail, we want to at least say, well, we have verification that it was done correctly, not that we took someone's word for it. So, and it's not, this is a pretty standard thing. I think Dave is here, he can speak to it. He was a little surprised that we weren't doing it yet.
Yeah, but we don't, okay, hold on.
We're starting to get into some debate about something.
I know, we're not debating,
This isn't a debate, Paul, this is.
I'm sorry, point of order.
I know, we're.
Are we following correct protocol to be going down a path where we are discussing something that probably needs to go on the agenda? I just want us to do things correctly.
It does need to go on the agenda.
Yes, guys, thank you. I will follow up this week. I will follow up with you next week about this.
I'm trying to get the
I know.
opinion
But
of
this
the
is something,
board
okay,
of what
this
the-
is
of-
board members comment, but I got what you want.
Okay.
Let me work on it. Give me 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks, I'm asking for 2 weeks. Let me do my research about that with the directors. All right, motion to adjourn,
Move to adjourn?
okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Anybody
Okay.
second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay,
Thank you, Ron.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay?